Hey, Spider Dad, can you get me some views, please? I need the views. I need the click rates. I need everything. I need this video to be 10 minutes. Oh, the things. All right, Spider-Man Far From Home is out, and it's great, and I loved it. And if you want, I can do a more in-depth video essay. New posters, by the way, two of them. I'm gonna put another one over there because that's been empty for a while now. But if you want, I can do a video essay later about exactly why it works, but I'd have to wait until there is more footage available from the movie. As of right now, this is just another one of me talking to you, which I promise these types of videos will be phased out eventually. But as for right now, I already have some ideas as to where they could go with the next Spider-Man movie, as the title would suggest. And, I've done this for Doctor Strange, I've done this for Black Panther. I've even kind of sort of done it for Superman and The Flash, just not in the same way. This is more of how to create a sequel, and those are how to create a movie from scratch. But I think I have a solid idea as to how to bring an organic threat to the MCU Spider-Man to end that trilogy, and how to progress Peter Parker's character arc, and how to wrap up everything that's been set up for him. We kind of have to disregard Homecoming a bit, but I think some things will be okay. And that's just as far as his character arc goes, because Peter Parker was not a character until Far From Home. He was an accessory. He was just kind of tagged on. He was an impulse buy when you get to the register at the store and there's candy bars. Spider-Man was right there next to Twix, and they grabbed him. They bought him too. That's just how that went down. Also, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to disregard the rumors that there are supposed to be 2 more Spider-Man trilogies totaling 9 solo films, because honestly, if you think about it this way, right, 7 movies after Far From Home would take 13 to 15 years, and I don't see Tom Holland playing Spider-Man when he's almost 40. I don't know. I mean, Chris Evans did Captain America until he was 37. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm going forward without that in my head, if that makes any sense. Now, on to how this movie is actually supposed to go. Now, at the end of the last movie, we all know Peter Parker was outed as Spider-Man. I'll probably put a spoiler alert in the description of this video. But, I mean, it should be obvious I'm going to spoil it. Point is, the world knows that he's Peter Parker. Now, here's what I think. Because the video that was leaked from Beck doesn't actually show Peter's face on Spider-Man's body, so it can be dismissed as it was doctored footage, reveal what type of things Mysterio actually did, and then maybe they can't actively pursue him as a criminal or anything like that, but still people have their suspicions. You're not going to make people forget what they saw and what they heard, and that's very important. And for that reason, May isn't in this movie. Happy isn't in this movie. They're off together. He's protecting her. She's in some sort of wit sect, because as long as there's people that suspect that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, she's not safe. And he can't do his job and protect her at the exact same time. Something could happen to her, so she's out of the movie. And one of the reasons that I want that is because I want Happy gone too, because as much as I feel like Peter did finally evolve into his own hero who's capable of, covering himself and doing things on his own, he did still rely on Happy to save his friends, because he just couldn't be in 2 places at once. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, it still felt like he was being bailed out. Not in the same capacity as when Iron Man literally showed up and cleaned up his mess, but still, he couldn't have done this by himself. And I want him to actually have to do something by himself, if that makes any sense. But as far as the threat goes in this movie, all the criminals know. All the criminals know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So what I think is Toombs' group is still active. Sure, they took 5 years off, but once they found out everybody was back, they went back to work. They still work on things. And they've got a guy in the crew named Max Dillon, right? If that name sounds familiar, it's because it should. And what he has is this harness, this exosuit kind of thing, that lets him, draw grounded electricity and ionized atoms from around him, turn it into weaponized electricity and shoot it. And he uses those to commit petty crimes. He uses them to rob stores or whatever. But he robs the wrong place, And the guy that owns that store just so happens to have bought one of the Chitauri-built guns that were being sold in Homecoming, and he blasts him with it, and that creates a huge pulse that knocks him out. He wakes up back in the shop, and he's like talking with a tinkerer. They're talking back and forth or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, I just realized, can you do me a favor and blast that?" And he blasts it, and it's like, "Oh snap! Whatever you got hit with, it affected your body in such a way that you don't need the suit to create electricity anymore. You just have that power now." So he's like, "Oh, that's cool. But you know what this means? I can go break Herman and Mac and Adrian out of prison. You get the Vulture, Shocker, and Scorpion out." And he's like, "Actually, it's good that you're thinking about that, because I did build something for Mac, and then we never got to use it." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go get him, but where are we gonna be? The Frightful Four?" It was a funny joke, it's a funny joke. It's a bit of an allusion to what is to come. And then after that, you cut to the scene of Spider-Man doing whatever. I don't know. He's trying to figure out how he's gonna get along with pretty much nobody by his side. Maybe he can't finish school there. Maybe he has to do like homebound schooling or whatever. I don't know exactly how that would work. I imagine he lives at the compound or something like that, just to be safe. And he has to do his courses online or whatever. He has to steal time to go hang out with Ned or hang out with MJ. Like, Peter's life sucks now because of what happened at the end of Far From Home. I don't want what happened to be completely undone off screen. I just want things to be a little bit more under control so that it's easy for things to happen in the movie without having to try too hard. But after you establish how Peter's handling all this, you cut to a scene where there's this Russian guy watching footage from like every public thing Spider-Man's ever done. Like when he stopped that van that Tony showed him. There's some surveillance footage of the fight from Civil War. There's footage of him fighting Call Obsidian and Infinity War. And then there's footage of some of the stuff he did in Far From Home. And he's analyzing it. He's like, oh, for some reason he doesn't shoot any webs in this part of the fight, which makes me think that they're artificial and they come from dispensers on board his wrist. So if I eliminate these dispensers, I make the fight more even. He's just analyzing, like, he seems to have some sort of danger sense. He's got strength, he's got agility, he's got reflexes, he's got speed, he's got all these things. He's learning how Spider-Man functions and how to take him down. And he's like, oh, do you have a plan? He's like, of course I have a plan. I'm going to stalk him. I'm going to learn how he functions in his own habitat, and then I'm going to attack him. I, Sergei Kravenov, will hunt the most dangerous game, the Spider-Man. If you know Sergei Kravenov, then you should be very excited for what I've got coming up. And then, guess what? Guess who's still alive? Quentin Beck. Mysterio is not dead, because you don't waste Jake Gyllenhaal like that. He faked his death. I don't know, maybe he used a body double or whatever. Or maybe like they had to defibrillate him later on to get the bullet out before he died or whatever. Point is, he's alive and he's angry, he's pissed. He doesn't even care about his reputation. He just wants Peter Parker dead. That's what he wants. That's it. He can die peacefully if he can get that. But it's all he wants in this life. And he's been working on a mist that can like neutralize the spider sense or whatever. I don't know if it's like frequency based or pheromone based or neurologically blah, blah. I don't care. Point is, he's got a mist that eliminates spider sense, so he can't use that to see through the illusions anymore. He's also got onboard illusion projectors. He's got hallucinogens in his suit. He's got all sorts of things that he can use to be way more dangerous. And so what happens is both Sergei and Mysterio are tracking Spider-Man, and he finds out, oh, there's been a break-in/breakout at the Raft prison or whatever, wherever Toomes and company are being held. And Spider-Man's like, well, looks like I have to go investigate that. He gets there, his relationship with the cops there is a little uneasy, but he's doing his job. He's trying to get these cops, he's trying to stop these prisoners from escaping. But surprise, surprise, Mysterio and Kraven the Hunter attack him while he's already trying to figure out who this scorpion-looking guy is, and why the Shocker has a full suit now, and why there's this guy that shoots electricity calling himself Electro. And he realizes that he is faced with the first ever on-screen representation of the Sinister Six. I think it's about that time. I think it's about that time. Because obviously there's a reason that Spider-Man's villains haven't been confirmed to be dying in these movies, right? Like, obviously John Watts is saving them for the Sinister Six, so it just seems obvious. And again, assuming that this is the last like solo Spider-Man movie for a while, it would be nice to finally get the Sinister Six. Because even in Spider-Verse, there were a few villains. There was Prowler, Green Goblin, Tombstone, Doctor Octopus, and Kingpin, but that's still only 5, and they never fought as a unified team, so it's still not even the Furious 5. You just don't get that sort of thing in that movie. And since they were like kind of the focal point of the second half of the game from last year, it just kind of makes sense because the idea of the Sinister Six has now been introduced to more people than it has previously, so why not do the Sinister Six on screen? And it's not exactly the most screen accurate team. I mean, it's Kraven, Mysterio, Vulture, Shocker, Electro, and Scorpion, which, I mean, that's no Sinister Six I've ever seen. But the thing about the Sinister Six, it's more about the team than it is about who's on it. It's just the fact that Spider-Man is completely outmatched and he's fighting 6 villains. He can't handle it by himself. That's the main thing. But he's gonna have to handle it himself, and he gets emaciated in this fight. He can't handle himself worth anything. He's fighting against a bunch of people that know him, that have studied him. He can't beat them. There's nothing he has up his sleeve that he can use against them. His spider sense isn't working. They've accounted for all of his other abilities. There's just nothing he can do to make it out of the situation by himself. So he like taps something on the suit. It makes a sonic wave. Everybody's like stunned for a while, and he uses that window of opportunity to escape. And he's talking with MJ. He's just like, I mean, there's 6 villains out there. You know, I don't know what they're going to do, but I assume that their entire end goal is me being dead, and I'm not sure what they'll do to make sure that that happens, so I have to face them somehow. And MJ's like, you can't, not by yourself. And he's like, Mr. Stark is dead, Captain Rogers is gone, Black Widow's dead, the Avengers aren't coming to save me. There's nothing, like, I've tried to hide from this sort of responsibility previously by pawning it off on one of the other Avengers, and they just can't, they can't do it. And she's like, but isn't this above being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? It's like, yeah, but this is my mess, you know, like, it's his fault that all these villains are coming after him, his actions, the things that he's done. And that's not to say that being Spider-Man has been a bad thing for him. It's just been a dangerous thing for him, you know? So what he has to do is he has to get back in the lab. You know, he has to make a new suit. And I know that the whole getting a new costume in every movie thing is strictly to sell merchandise. I don't care. This time it'll serve a narrative purpose. He needs to make some sort of emitter that will, I don't know, nullify the anti-spider sense stuff. Obviously, this is getting towards the end, like the end of the movie. I feel like that's obvious. Maybe he has like another encounter with Kraven by himself or something like that, and then you find out that Kraven is juiced himself, and now he's got the physical attributes of like, he's got the strength of a gorilla, the agility of a monkey, the speed of a cheetah, the brain capacity of a dolphin. I don't care. He's just this super species because now he's got animal genes. That's the thing. But Spider-Man has to create like webs that are electrically insulated, probably the rest of the suit as well. He has to, like, I don't know, make a anti-venom that will, are you kidding me? An anti-venom that will like prevent the effects of Scorpion's sting, like hurting him or anything like that. Maybe he's got to make something in the suit to counter each villain. But the thing is, it's not like he's fighting them one by one. At least not initially. He fights them all at once again, and he realizes he's still not winning, so he has the idea to get them alone, or at least get them into groups of 2. So the final act can take place in like kind of like 3 acts. Like I don't know, maybe the 6 sequester themselves off like that. I don't know. Point is though, he has to fight them in smaller groups, which he can do by like having Ned do something or whatever. I don't know. Fact of the matter is, he gets them into groups of like Mysterio and Vulture, and like Electro and Craven, and then like Shocker and Scorpion. It doesn't matter what the groups are, it's just the fact that he has to fight them in that sort of manner. And then he rises to the challenge and he beats them. I know I feel like I focus a little bit more on the bad guys of the movie, but the thing of the reason that I want it to be the Sinister Six and it's just Peter by himself is that he has to finally grow up. Like I know that I praised Far From Home, like saying that he's finally matured, he's finally the classic version of Spider-Man. I just feel like there's a little bit more to be done. And if he can defeat the Sinister Six by himself, like in the game, then not only do we avoid the pitfall of him being betrayed by somebody that he trusts and being caught off guard by somebody that he didn't suspect or anything like that. It's finally gonna close the book on some of the things that were left open from both Far From Home and Homecoming. We'll have a completed arc where he goes from being a boy that needs help from his Iron Dad to being a fully fledged, confident hero who's able to handle things by himself. And that doesn't make him invincible or indestructible in any capacity. He's just more capable of handling things that are suited towards him. I really don't feel like he should have needed Iron Man's help in Homecoming. Nothing happened in Homecoming that he shouldn't have been able to handle. But the thing that I really want from Spider-Man 3, Home Past Curfew, I don't know, is I want him to be in a place where he could actually fit in with the Avengers. So that's why I want this to come before Avengers 5, whatever that ends up being called, New Avengers, Dark Avengers, Secret Avengers, I don't care. I just want Spider-Man to stop being an accessory and start being Spider-Man. I don't want him to be leader potential or anything like that. I just want it to feel like he can contribute something to the team. Because as of right now, if you have an Avengers team that's Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, whoever else, Spider-Man doesn't fit, not only because he's way weaker than all of them, but because he just doesn't have the experience or the wisdom that comes from experience to add anything to the conversation. He can't bring anything to the table that's not already there. That's why I want this movie to evolve him a little bit further. But yeah, that's it. That's just what I want from the Spider-Man threequel. And I know John Watts won't see this video, but maybe we'll just end up coming up with similar things, and that'll be that. But until next time, I'll see you later.
Coming at me wrong is bad juju. You better not make me sue woo you. So you best better go run tell your crew do something new, and it better be hot butter getting and dogo. Don't make me fight y'all.